Historia Monstranum. Throughout history, humankind has labeled people, species, things, and beings as good or bad, normal or monstrous. This classification has been in writing for hundreds of years, and an incredible and condensed example is the Historia Monstranum by Alavandri and his students. Created in 1642, the Historia Monstranum is a collection of past monsters and their significance in society, all written in Latin and illustrated throughout. Present day, we consider it to be an encyclopedia of natural history, as it was a collection of many nations and cultures' interpretations of monsters, a component of a greater project aimed to document all of mankind's knowledge and history. But so what? What does this have to do with us now? This document provides a unique viewpoint into the past as to what was considered the norm. Even without reading the captions and explanations in the book, it's a visual guide on what was societal culture back in the day. Most importantly to this project and to the greater population, what can we notice from it? Noticing is an invaluable tool, something that can say so much without ever speaking a word. There's so much to be said by just pictures and the emotions and messages that they can bring. So in the context of our own world, taking a deep dive into truly noticing the monsters in Historia Monstranum provides a window to the past, where we may see differences and similarities within our cultures. Historia Monstranum provides the perspective as to what or who was a monster and how society treated abnormalities. Now let's take a dive into the book. One of the explanations as to what the book entails is that it is a record of creatures and beings seen, yet the world at the time was unable to find a proper explanation for. Or perhaps they didn't want to find a proper explanation for. For example, on page 16, there is a humanoid monster, individuals that appear to be covered in fur. Now, we know that this is a condition resulting from a genetic mutation that causes the body to produce an excess of hair all over, but at the time it would have been unexplainable, aside from being a monstrous being. Further examples include conjoined twins, found on page 404, and in a similar manner, animals with two heads, found on page 420. This provides a unique and real view as to how society treated those who did not conform to the norm, even though all these are birth defects or abnormalities that are uncontrollable. So what does this mean? Well, in 1642, they did not have the knowledge and the scientific databases that we do today. Their understanding of the human body, genetics, mutations, and other causes of physical deformities was incredibly limited, and thus they simply didn't know that conjoined twins, birth defects, and various conditions, such as the excess hair, were all still normal people, just with genetic differences. Thus, to provide an answer to the question as to what happened or what are they, these individuals were put into the box of monsters, either as to give an answer that could have been easily acceptable by society, or to push away and ignore these individuals. As well, other cultures are found in the Monstranum Historia. On page 342, there are multiple monsters that appear to be based off of an ancient Egyptian mythological creature and god, and yet in the Historia Monstranum, they're classified as monsters. Another culture is considered abnormal or wrong as they are not part of Alavandri's society, perhaps. Furthermore, there are also plants that are classified as monsters, flowers that grew with stalks too wide, multiple flowers, heads on one stem, or abnormal traits from a particular species, such as a deformed seed. So, what have I noticed? The monster which caught my attention the most is found on page 324. It resembles what I would say is a modern-day peacock. This monster is a bird with an extravagant plume of tail feathers. There's nothing strikingly out of the ordinary for this monster, other than how extravagant it is in comparison to other common birds. But what caught my attention about this creature was what the classifications for the Historia Monstranum versus what I would classify this creature as the Historia Monstranum is a collection of abnormal, odd, or wrong beings for the most part, whereas contrastingly, I would label a peacock as captivating, beautiful, and enchanting. Their feathers are a mosaic of colors and catch your eye so easily, yet not in a scary way, but rather as something in a manner of awe. I wouldn't consider a peacock as something to be feared or abnormal or other, whereas in the past they may have been, or at least seen in a different light. To dive deeper, a peacock or peafowl is a prominent symbol in numerous cultures, most notably Hindu, Greek, Roman, and Christian. A symbol of many significant topics, from wealth, good omens, warnings, to darker topics of death, bad omens, and vanity. But if these are all common throughout many cultures, what is so different about this monster? I believe it may have to do with the other godlike creatures that are represented as monsters in the Historia Monstranum. There are accounts of gods, mythical beings, or religious things that are considered otherworld and therefore classified as abnormal in this book. For example, on some pages earlier in the book, there is a centaur-like creature, which is a prominent demigod and or god in the Greek culture, mythological culture. So, what is so puzzling about this? I find that many characteristics that are seen as normal or explainable or nature's phenomena were once classified as abnormal and monstrous in the past. This explains a lot about societal norms and how many concepts that were unexplainable at the time were simply due to a lack of knowledge, and therefore were cast aside or grouped together into a demonized category. I think it's an example of how much society has grown, but also how easily we as humans fear what we do not know. This book can serve as a cautionary tale as to how quick to judge we can be, or as a reminder for how we should not treat that which we cannot yet explain. And furthermore, here's my bibliography.